Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Pieware Night School. Tonight's episode, we're going to be covering everything about the Visuals Editor and how to apply it to the real view. I hope everyone's doing well tonight and staying safe. If you have any questions, please post them in chat and we'll get them covered. So let's take a look here. Let's just do a real quick overview of the real view itself. So the real view, we have the title bar. It allows you to double click to minimize. You have the ability to shift the grid front to back and left to right. You also have your zoom. You can zoom in and out. This button here is going to reset your camera location to the default location. This button will flip the cameras when you have multiple cameras running. The multiple cameras can be adjusted in your active camera section. And you can have up to 4, and you can toggle and move those around. And let's just leave 2 cameras for now. All right. Then we have on the right side an option to pause or play the real view rendering. So when you have paused it, nothing will update in the real view. This was requested because we have users that are running on laptops, and when you're running on battery, if you toggle this off, that will reduce your battery usage. So you don't actually have to turn off the real view, you can just temporarily pause it. We have the auto expand, was basically when you press play, it's going to auto unshade the real view during the animation. You have the HUD option where you can display the camera title, drill title, any other information from the production sheet. You can adjust what is shown, and that'll be shown here at the top. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. And then we have the option to toggle. Let me turn that back on. Toggle between the surface, your design grid, and your secondary design grid, subdivision lines. You can toggle off your venue here. This will toggle the labels off and on for your performers. And this last option will turn on and off the preset camera angles. So if you've set camera angles during the animation, it will turn those on and off for you. So when you're animating, you don't have to have it jump back and forth. All right, let's take a look here. This will load your real view perspective. This will load your real view perspective options and allow you to change those. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. Looks like we might be having a little bit of a blurry issue. Let me disable and enable the share. Okay. Try this again. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Still no? Okay, let me restart Pieware. Sorry for the delay, guys. Bear with me one moment. All right, so while we're letting this restart here, we had a couple of questions. Let's see here. Having a hard time seeing the selection options for the views. Johnny, was that in the camera options you were looking at? Okay, so in the cameras, let me pull that back up now that it's restarted here. As we're loading, we have 4 different camera options. You have the Sky Cam, which is the default camera. you have the ground camera, which is going to be a third-person camera that's going to attach to the performer that you have spotlit. You have a helmet cam, which is going to be a helmet cam for the person that you have spotlit, and then you have a blimp camera. The last three cameras will attach to the spotlit performer, and they will follow them around. I'm giving it a brief explanation on that and show you how it's done. Okay. Let's see here. Make it a little bit better for us. Okay, so let us spotlight one performer. Spotlight my primary performer here. And I'm going to toss down a couple of sets just to create a transition. And then I'm going to just move everybody around the field. Okay. All right. So now I have my person spotlit. I'm going to turn on my cameras. Let's turn off the lines here. Okay. So now I have my real view. I have my sky camera right here. You can mouse over that window and then still use your scroll wheel to move in and out. Okay, and we have our ground camera listed here. Okay, let's actually re-spotlight that person there. Okay, so my third person helmet or ground camera is basically spinning around this particular performer. This is my helmet camera, so it's going to see what that performer sees, and then I have my blimp camera. Okay, so I'm going to start my animation here. As you can see, these three cameras follow the actual performer, whereas your sky camera is in a static location. So that's how you can add your cameras, use multiple cameras at a time, and you can choose any number 1 to 4, and then it will split that up for you. So if I wanted to have my ground camera and helmet camera, I have my primary sky cam here, my helmet cam, and my ground camera. And again, these can be flipped using the flip button that is next to cameras. Any questions on any of the functions that we have in the real view just as we sit directly? If not, then we'll go through how to apply actual visuals. Okay, let's take a look here. Just have my ground camera. Okay, so let's hide our real view temporarily. And we still have our spotlight person, so we can easily see the changes. So to apply visuals, you'll need to have a range of performers selected. I'm going to be on count 0 here. I'm going to turn on my visuals editor, which you can see here. Is everybody able to see the visuals editor well? Or do I need to make that a little larger? The helmet cam is not in the viewer app. Let me restart that. In the viewer app, you are able to see the pathway for the selected person. So you can see that pathway, but you are not able to see a helmet camera. You can zoom in a little bit and then adjust the angle to see that in the 3D app. Let me enable a larger UI here. Okay, bear with me one moment. Need to restart once more for us. Okay, and while that is restarting, let's see if this will be better for y'all. All right. Are there any difficulties with visuals that you try to enter? And I can have those covered as well. Okay, here we go. Ripples for visuals, we can do that. All right, larger visuals editor, here we go. Is that easier to see for everybody? All right. We'll cover rippled visuals. Awesome. I'm glad we can see that much better. Okay, so big thing here. For any instrumentation, we normally suggest placing or setting that up on count 0. That way it can be carried through the entire drill. Anything that is set on count 0 is essentially going to be your default. So that's where we want to set everything up. We do have the ability to map real view instrumentation in your cast list. There's an option for edit symbol map. This is going to give you a list of all the key presses that we have, as well as all of the written symbols, how they're going to be printed out. For each one of those, you can assign a uniform, a hat, and a piece of equipment. So what you want to do to make things a little bit more streamlined, if you use a particular set of instrumentation or letters, you'll want to go ahead and set this up to where you have all of your instrumentation based on how you normally write. If you are using just lowercase s's or dots, this section will not work for you because it will be using just a single symbol. And I'll walk through how to adjust your real view instrumentation directly. Okay. So selecting a performer will activate the visuals editor here. It's going to allow you to adjust any visual information for that performer. The first thing we want to go through is we want to make sure that we have our marcher uniform style set to what we want. Now, we do have 12 placeholders that you can choose from. These do have pre-designed uniforms on them, but you can also adjust the uniform image that is used in your document options. All right. So we have our performer here. As you can see, if I select a different marcher, male marcher 2, and apply it, it's going to change the uniform based on the defaults that are already loaded into the software. Okay, so we're just going to keep it on male marcher 1 for now, and we also have multiple different options for hats. You can select that. We've started adding new uniforms for different types of activities that we've had during the year. And we also have the ability for us to create new hats and or helmets or masks that you can use as well. So let's go with our Shako with plume. And now we will select our instrumentation. So let's say we're brass, we'll make this person a trumpet. Okay. So I'm going to set him as a trumpet. By default, it's going to be in horns up. This can be changed in the visuals tab. Let's touch base real quick on the facing. By default, you're going to be facing the home sideline or facing front. If you need to change it to where you would like to have it follow direction of movement, this is common with traditional or military style, you would go to count 0, select this option, and then when you press apply changes, it's going to allow the performer to turn in the direction that is marching. So let's just say we're facing forward for now. Okay. Gary's asking if this will save as a default for new files. Which section do you want to save? The grid design, I'm sorry, the real view editor, or I'm sorry, the symbol map. Is that what you're looking for? The symbol map you can save as default. What you can do is inside the symbol map, let's pull it back up, edit symbol map. There's an option to save as defaults here. So once you've adjusted this, you save as defaults, and that's going to apply it to any new drill. Now you can also, if you have a drill that you've already completed that you want to apply your new default to, we have an option for revert. So once you've saved your new default, you can open your secondary tune that you would like to apply your symbol map to, press revert, and that's going to revert it to the defaults. Then after that, you can apply your symbol map to count 0, which is going to automatically apply the instrumentation and the uniforms to the entire drill. And that's going to then change out the instrumentation based on the symbols you're using. Okay, and then Matthew, a faster way of assigning performers? What are we looking for a faster way for? Okay. So, all right. So we have the facing. We also have facing to a point, which was added in version 9, face to a performer, and face grouping order. Face grouping order is going to allow you to face into a curve following the curvature of the form itself. We also, with face fixed direction, we can have it to take a duration. This is how we are going to create turns. We'll walk through that as well. For visuals, we have our upper body, which consists of a pose option or a move option. Okay. The poses and the moves can be adjusted to take a range of counts. All right. We have the lower body option, which gives us the pose options that we have and move options, such as rond de jambe or grand plie. And then we also have our hold style. By default, we should have stand here, so I'm going to set stand. All right. Just real quick, we have the performer prop. I'll touch on this towards the end of the session. This gives you the ability to change this performer into a prop that gives you much more control over the actual props themselves. We have our march style and pace. So you can change your march style if you're wanting to crawl or move on top of a prop or have high step marching. And then you also have your pace options where you can do your single time, half time, double time, or a custom pace. So you can come in and adjust the pace to where you need it to be. Okay. And the utilities is going to give you shortcuts to different functions for the real view. All right. So let's get in here and let's create a maneuver. I'm going to zoom in on my count track just a little bit so I can manipulate it a little bit easier. Okay. Okay, and then we've got have a horn swing. Freeman, we do not currently have a horn swing. That is something that we do have on the list to create. And then Steve has a question on how to create a custom pace. Once we get moving during a transition, I will walk you through how to create a custom pace. All right, so let's get us a couple of sets down here. So what we want to do is I'm going to start by creating an upper body move. So what I want to do is I'm going to have the performer take, let's turn this down, 2 counts to turn 90 degrees. So I'm going to first do my facing. I'm going to spread my anchors between count 0 and 2. I'm going to choose to start or ending at for 2 counts. I'm going to have it face to the left if we're looking at it. Okay. Once I apply those changes, it's going to make that change. I'm going to make them do a 360-degree turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it down, grabbing my yellow anchor, dragging it past the red. It's going to flip those. So now I have my counts 3 and 4 selected. I'm going to select my direction to be backfield. I'm going to have 2 counts ending at. This takes the entire 2 count transition. And I'm going to repeat this going around the cycle. Okay, 2 counts ending at. And bring it back home. 2 counts ending at. Okay, so now when I animate, it's going to have a nice fluid turn. Okay. So that gives us our 360-degree move in the direction that we want. Next, I want to add some horn visuals to that. So let's say I'm going to go from horns up to a wall pose. I'm going to have that take 2 counts as well. Okay. And then I'm going to have the next 2 counts come into a pin pose. Okay. The next 2 counts, I'm going to come back to a different mall pose, still doing ending at, and then I'm going to bring it back to horns up for 2 counts. Okay. Now I've combined all 4 of those maneuvers, and what the real view is going to do is blend those all together. So now I'm going to be rotating around and creating the movements. If everybody can see, you have a nice fluid transition between all of the poses and also turning around. Okay. Any questions on how to blend poses together? Okay. So this 8 count transition, I can actually copy and apply to a number of performers. This gets back to ripples. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. Okay, copy. All right, let me add a new set of performers here. I'm just going to create a line of performers. 3-step interval. Is that a 3-step interval? Yes, it is. Perfect. Okay, so we have 12 people here. So I want these 12 people to create a rippled effect. So I've got 12 people. It's an 8 count transition, so I need at least 20 counts here in order for everybody to complete that. So I'm going to have my 20 count transition. I'm going to set this as a sub page tab so I can jump back and forth easily. All right, so I've copied my performer that I have created my master set of visuals on. Control C, Command C, or edit and copy. Then I'm going to spread my anchors over the range that I'm going to apply this. I have my performer selected, and I do have my colored order on. So this is my leader, and this is the ending of the form. So when I start my ripple, it's going to start at this performer. Okay, so I'm going to edit and paste visuals. All right, we have multiple options here. We have the visuals that count 8, or 0, count 8, and the series range that we've created. So what we're going to do is we've got this selected. Actually, I want to save this for future use. So I'm going to choose Edit List. I'm going to choose Add. And this gives me my ability to add a description to this visual range. Say turn 360, turn clockwise, upper body, visual. All right, I'm going to select that I want to save this range from count 1 to 8, and I save it here. So now it adds this to my list. So now that is selectable option here. I can choose what sections of the visual that I have saved to apply to those performers. And I can also choose to sequence. So I'm going to sequence every 1 count. Okay. And then I can choose to sequence in reverse order. So by default, it's going to start at this performer. If I chose to in reverse order, it's going to start here. So once I press accept, okay, let's watch this transition here. It helps when you actually have instruments. So let me populate them with some instruments right quick. Okay. All right. So let's run that animation. And now we have our rippled visuals. Looks like we have a couple of questions here. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so we have a question about how to copy a visual. So all you need to do is select the performer that you've created the visual on, go to edit and choose copy. What that will do is it copies not only the performer but actual all visuals that are edited for that range of counts. Okay, you select the one performer that we've created, uh, that you have created for. We basically have one master performer, and then we're pasting all that to there. And then we have a question about copying the trumpet and paste the performers. So what you can do here, okay, so let's change that performer here to a mellophone. Okay, so if I copied this, since I did not have a horn visual or a instrument change in that area, it is not going to apply an actual horn change when I paste it. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my 360 change, apply that once more. Actually, take that back, it does. So what we can do, let's undo this. Select my performers. Select my performers. Edit and paste visuals. I'm going to change to unselect equipment changes. When I press accept, it now will only apply our visuals. Let's see here, equipment changes. Let's change these back to mellows. Okay. We're going to edit, paste visuals, 360, no equipment changes, accept. So we should now have, there we go. We're applying our upper body visuals and our rotation without adjusting the instrumentation. Okay. Matthew, does that answer your question? Perfect. And Michael, let's recover how to add that to the list. So what we will do is select my master performer over the range that we have. So my range from 0 to 8. I'm going to choose edit and choose copy. I'm going to paste visuals. I choose edit list. And then this is where I choose add. I then give it a description, select what I want to copy and paste from. So I'm going to edit my visual series at my count range 1 to 8. And once I've done that, just save. Okay, it now appears here. Say okay, and it now appears in my copied visuals list. At this point in time, Doug, you can only do a visual on a whole count. We don't have the ability to subdivide a count for visual purposes yet. Okay. So let's go through here. And let's take a look for facings. Let's go ahead and move our performers. Let's come down and create a new page tab. And I'm going to create an arc. So I have my performers now in an arc, and I want to have them facing either a center point or a performer. And move our soloist here. So we have that person here. Okay, so we have the ability to change facing. I'm going to select my arc. I'm going to select my facing panel. I can choose to face to a performer. So I'm going to choose this option to face a performer. I'm going to have this performer selected. I apply it, and now it gives the performers the point to that performer. We also have the option of facing away from that performer. Select that performer, apply the changes, and they should face away. Where are we at? Face away, apply. Maybe. Why is it not working for us today? Face away from our point. We can also do the same thing here. All right, face away. Or if we wanted to face a different point, a little more shallow, away from, set my point, and facing towards. Okay, you also have the ability to face grouping order. Where's my grouping order change? Okay, forward and back. All right, so let's go back to facing a performer. Here's my performer. Okay. There we go. So we're facing that performer during our transition as well. All right. Let's take a look here at some other instrumentation. Let's change our instrumentation here. Let's move down, add a couple more, or another page tab. Let's actually change our performers here to a flag. To change instrumentation, you can change that at any count. Say flag 10. We have our flag. Okay. And we can actually change the uniform as well, the same way. Let's say change to our guard and remove our hat, no hat. So now we have our instrumentation change. Okay, so now going forward, we're going to have new instrumentation, new flags. This, you have the ability to change that anytime during the drill. Okay, let's add some flag choreography here. So let's say we want to do another rippled option. We want to create a 16 count ripple or a 16 count phrase of guard work. So I'm going to select one person here. Going to my visuals. Now, as you notice here in my visuals, I no longer have a horns up or horns down. These menus are context-driven menus based on who you have selected. So if you have a horn selected, it's going to show you anything a horn can do. If you have a guard member selected, it's going to show you anything a guard member can do. If you are trying to apply something to a multitude of performers with different instrumentation, this will then limit it to only options that all of those performers have access to. So if I have a guard member selected and a horn member selected, if you notice here, I do not have an attention or option for horns up other than the generic. We don't have a right shoulder or anything like that for the guard. So if you get stuck in a bind where you're trying to adjust an interval, I'm sorry, not an interval, a visual, and you do not see the option you want, that is because you have someone selected that is not part of the group that you're modifying. Or a member of your horn line does not actually have a horn or a wind instrument. So you need to select that and adjust that first. Okay. So let's create a transition here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. Let's say I want to have a 4 count move here. I'm going to do a figure 8 for 4 counts. Ending at, I'm going to have that repeat for another 4 counts, figure 8, ending at. Then going to go to the next 4 counts. Let's say I want to do a 3 toss. And then my next 4 counts, I can have it come in to a right shoulder and pull it down for 4 counts. So now my entire range is going to look like this. All right, we have our 2 thing with our toss, and then we're bringing to a right shoulder. And now we've created a 16 count flag work. Let's go ahead and select our performer. I'm going to then copy. So we have 12 performers. So we need 12 performers and 16 counts. So we need 36 counts here. So we've got 16, 36. All right. So there's my subpage tab just for our example. Going to select my performers. Going to paste visuals. Sequence every 1 count. My visual series. Include everything except. So now let's expand our real view here. And animate. Now we have our rippled visual. Okay. Any questions on creating a rippled visual for guard? Any questions on how to apply an actual visual to a performer? I have gotten questions about how to overwrite a visual. In order to overwrite a visual, all you would need to do is actually set a visual over the top of it. So if I wanted to overwrite my visual ripple here, I can say, let's say I want to go to right shoulder. Let's say I want it to happen immediately. So I'm going to do starting at, and then I'm going to choose apply changes. And now our rippled visual will be completely gone. And that allows you to overwrite a visual. Several times I have people calling and asking, why isn't it working with don't change? The don't change option will literally not change anything. So this gives you the ability to change only segments of the visual. So if you do not want any changes to apply to that particular section, this is the option that is selected. So that way I can leave my lower pose doing something else. Let's say I ground plie. Let's say 16 counts, starting at. And now I'm not going to do anything with my right shoulder. I am just modifying the lower body. Okay, and let's circle back around real quick about applying a horns up and down. So we come back to our horns section. Okay. So to create horns up or down, you would select a wind section. That gives you the option for your horns up and down in press box. So let's recreate this. I'm going to do facing, forward, okay. And I'm going to have my upper body be horns up. Okay, so now that forces everybody in our range to be horns up. Okay, so now let's say we want to have a horns down. So we want a 1 count horns down. Horns up, or we start out at horns down. Let's start at horns down. Count 0, horns down. We're going to do a quick horn pop up. Let's do press box. for one count. Okay, and then we're going to have them bring it back down to horns up position for 2 counts, ending at 3. So now we're just going to have a real quick horn pop. I'll zoom in here so y'all can see it a little bit better. Right. You can see, start at horns down, pop to horns up, and or press box and then horns up. Okay. Ray, does that help? The question about how to get horns up and horns down and how to create it over a transition? Right. If you have your wind selected and percussion, you're only going to see the options that will apply to both of them. That's very important when you're running through and adjusting visuals. Okay. Are there any other questions on how to apply instrumentation? Let's see. Freeman has a question about music drill or music to the drill and its stop. What you'll need to do is, if you're using a wave file that was created in Finale, you'll need to convert that using Audacity. There's a newer update in Finale is changing the header so it's not read easily. We recommend changing that to an OGG file in Audacity, and then resync it. That normally resolves any music stopping in the middle of the drill. Okay. Okay. Let's move on to creating performer props and interacting with performer prompts. Let's reset everything here. All right. Delete our transition. I'm going to delete our page tabs as well. Okay. I've been getting a lot of interest in creating stages and how to interact with stages. So let's create a stage here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to count 0, place a performer. I'm going to my performer prop tab. I'm going to do a shape prop. I'm going to do a box. And let's say it is from front to back, it's going to be 5 feet. Left to right, it's going to be 12 feet, and we're going to be 3 feet off the ground. Okay. So now I have a stage here. All right. Now, we don't want to just have someone jump up on the stage, so let's actually add a ramp to this as well. So I'm going to add a new performer. I'm going to accept that. I'm going to have this be a structure prop. I'm going to choose a ramp. Okay, we have ramps with rails. We have a ramp bridge, a large ramp. Let's just do our standard ramp, which is right here. So our ramp by itself is normally just a 1x1, and the facing direction is where the wall of the ramp is. So what I want to do is I just accepted it with the default settings. I'm going to change my facing so it's going to face our prop. Okay, and then I'm going to back to my performer prop, and let's adjust the length. It's going to be front to back, so it's from the face to the back. Let's say we have a 7-foot long prop. I'm sorry, 7 foot, not 7 yards. All right. And our width, we're going to be 5, so it's the same width. And our height is going to end at 3 feet to match our stage. Okay, so now I have my ramp. I'm going to select my push tool. I'm going to use my shift key I'm going to use my arrow. I'm going to adjust that to where my ramp is butted up against there. Okay, so now I have it in position. I want these performer props to be able to be walked on, so I'm going to select both of those. And I'm going to actually select one since they're not the same. Can be walked on. Select my ramp, can be walked on. Okay. I need to copy this because I want to ramp on the opposite side. I'm going to copy, Control C. I'm going to Control V to paste performers. Okay, I can shift that here, paste it. So now I have my prop here. All I need to do is adjust my facing. Okay. And shift it into position. Accept it. When I copied it, my performer had the option for can be walked on already. So now my entire stage and ramp can be walked on. Okay. Now let's add a person that will be able to walk on those props. Okay, I'm going to select that performer or range of performers and choose the option to can walk on performer props. All right, so now let's move these here. I'm going to go ahead and lock these performers so I can't select them by accident. Choose display and lock selection. They're going to be grayed out here so you can see them, but you cannot interact with them. All right, so let's create a transition, 24 counts here. I'm going to have him just, actually, let's do 8 counts. Have him move onto the platform, walk up. We're going to do an 8 count transition here. And we're going to have a hold, and then we're going to 8 count transition off. Accept. So now we have our transition. Hold our 8 counts. And we walk off of our platform. Okay. Any questions on how to have performers walk on top of props? Okay. Let's take a look at having performers move with props while they're on top of them. So let's create another quick transition here. Let's unlock our performers. Okay. Delete this performer. Okay. So what we're going to do is we now have our performer on our platform. Then we have him hold here. And let's say instead of moving just the performer, we want to move the prop with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move our prop. Okay. Oh. Move our prop and not cancel out of it. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and lock this so I can select my other performer. All right, so I have my performer here. Now what I'm going to do, if I play my animation, it's going to be looking like I'm doing a moonwalk on the prop. That's not what we want. What we're going to do is we're going to come to our march style, and we're going to change it just for this range to move with prop. So now what this is going to do is it's not going to do anything except for what I choose in the visuals. So by default, it says stand. So let's test that animation. So now we just move with the prop. But what this also gives us the ability to do is create a lower body visual over the same time. So now if someone is moving our prop, we can actually do our plie while the prop is moving. Okay, zoom in on this so we can see that a little bit better. we create our transition, and we're moving with our prop. Okay, it looks like we have a question from Jerry. He was trying to apply a sequence. So once you have created your transition with your visuals, you'll select that performer, the master performer, and copy them. Then you'll select your range of performers, and you want to choose the option for the range. Let's pull that back up. So we select our performer, copy, select our range of performers, paste visuals. You'll select the range option or whichever option you're wanting to apply in a pattern. Then you'll choose the sequence every option, enter the number of counts you want to sequence it by. For your particular example, it is 1 count, and that will sequence it over each count individually. We have a question on how to lock the performer props. So to lock performers or performer props, you would select the performers or performer props you want to lock, go to display, and choose lock selection. You also have the ability to hide it completely if you needed it out of the way, but typically for performer props, you just want to lock those. Okay, any other questions on how to interact with performer props while the performer is actually not marching? Okay. In version 10, we added the ability to have custom props created. We do have the pull down here for that custom prop. You can actually locate those in the interactive menu under the Real View Asset Store. Okay, and all the ones that we have currently created are going to be listed here. We recently added taiko drums, balls. You're going to get different classifications of custom models here, whether it be prop, hat, or equipment. And props will be under the custom prop menu. The hats are going to be mixed in the hat pull down menu, and the equipment is going to be mixed in the guard or wind instrument, depending on which classification it is. All you need to do is, if you want to take a look at it, you can click on the option itself, choose preview, and then you're able to see what that particular prop is. If you wanted to download that, you choose your prop, choose download. It is then downloaded to your software and then becomes available in your custom prop option. Say I wanted to change it to medium here, apply that change, and now I have my taiko drum. Okay, we have question on how to paste a photo or picture on a stationary prop. So let's take a look here at just a standard shape prop. So if we're wanting to do a wall prop, we're going to do either a box or a vertical panel. So a vertical panel, let's just create a 1x1 vertical panel here. And it has our facing. Let's have it face forward. Shape prop, panel. Okay. Facing forward. Let's make that a little bit larger to work with. Actually, let's clear this out just to make it easy. Unlock everybody. Unlock all performers. Delete these. We no longer need them. All right, we have our panel. Let's do 3x5. So now we have our large panel. What we will do is select our image. So let's say anything good to work with. Let me see what I have. Bear with me one moment. See if we have a good prop. Anything. Is there anything specific that you want on that wall prop? Let's just do a quick Google image search. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to download an image here. Okay. Let's get a good image. Brick wall. Okay. Brick wall. Come on now. Save image. We wanted to save a JPEG or a PNG file. I'm going to then come to my desktop and find my brick wall. I'm going to apply my changes, and now I have my brick wall image. Okay. Okay. Dan, does that answer the question on how to import an image? We did do a session on creating custom prop images as well. And we can link back, we can email those links. It's also available on our YouTube channel. Freeman, to import a uniform, you can do that in your document options, file, document options, real view, and select uniform that you want. So we've got our fabric folder. Let's find a different uniform. We created a uniform in our previous night school that has letters on a letter on it. So I can add that. Okay, and let's actually change this. This is a question I get back quite often. I accidentally changed a performer that I need to a performer prop. How do I get it back? So what we want to do is select that performer prop, go to Uniform and Equipment, and select it as the marcher that you want again. What that's going to do is it's going to overwrite that prop specification and change it back to a performer. As you can see, Freeman, now I have my new uniform that has been created with my lettering on it. Okay. Let's see here. Is there any other questions on creating? Okay, let's see. Any way to do mixed meter and one group of performers for custom pace? So let's create that right quick. So let's have one performer, second performer. Okay, we're going to have them move over 24 counts. Let's just have them move across the field. 8 to 5. Okay. So I'm going to select my first performer, and we have a standard option set for single pace. Let's have our person in the back do a custom pace. Let's say we want to have 2 steps to 3 counts. Apply that change. So our front performer is going to be taking a 1-to-1. Our back performer is going to be taking a 2-to-3. So let's get us set up to where we can see that easily. And shifting my camera around, I'm using my right mouse button to drag it around the field, using my scroll wheel to zoom in and out. So now, move these. Where are we at? I lost my performers. There we go. Let's play that animation one more time so we can see it a little bit easier. So you can see the front performer is taking a single step and the back performer is taking 2 steps to 3 counts. We can also change that as a 1 to 4. So they're going to be taking much larger steps because it's going the same distance. But that is how you create different pacings with the same group. Does that cover everything that we had questions on for custom pace? Any other questions on applying rippled visuals, applying visuals, creating linked visuals? We can come back and cover anything that we need to be touching base on again. All right, if there's no other questions for tonight, then I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It's nice having in with us. Tomorrow, we will be having Mike Gaines on. So be sure to stop in 9 p.m. Central. We're also going to be announcing something fun on Friday. So be sure to watch our Facebook feed and all of our social media. Until then, we'll see y'all later. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.